Yo, it is Wednesday, June 29th. We're celebrating a birthday today. We'll tell you about that in a second. JD Power's telling us initial quality is taking a massive dive, and adults want more Mindspace.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I am.
Swelling
It's in the mind.
face.
It's in the mind.
Right? There's a GIF. There's a GIF in my head on the Mindspace one. You probably know exactly what it is. It's the guy who's like,
Yes, exactly.
the guy with the glasses. Oh man. It's a beautiful summer day in so many places in the country. It's hard to be down on a beautiful summer day.
Come on.
What is gorgeous in Nashville in the summer?
Oh, well, I woke up to 63-degree cool weather, right? Now it's going to be 93 and sunny in the afternoon, but
It's all good.
The summer days where we get that like 30-degree swing is just perfect. A lot of our summer days are like a 15-degree swing, so we go like 79 to 90, 93 or something like that.
Yeah.
But these days where we get that nice cool morning, nice cool evening, perfect.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Yeah, it's tough when it's like 80 degrees at nighttime. That's when it's like something wrong. Something wrong with that.
Can't bonfire, can't do any of that good stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. You're just like, look, iPhone. ASOTU ticket launch is less than a week away, July 5th. So everyone's coming back from the 4th of July holiday to a very special treat, and that is ASOTU tickets will be for sale. If you haven't got on the pre-registered list yet, go to ASOTUcon.com because there's only going to be 50 industry partner tickets that are released to non-collaborators, and we want to make sure you have a chance to get one. So we're going to be picking or randomly drawing 50 names off of that pre-reg list that have the opportunity to buy a ticket. If you're a dealer, you can buy a ticket anyway. So we're going to launch the site, start announcing speakers and collaborators, and the momentum's really going to pick up from here. So make sure you get to ASOTUcon.com and pre-register.
Going. Let's go.
It's about to get real fast. So we have a birthday today, a very notable birthday. Oh, I was like, this is a little is that trombone?
I don't know, trumpet, trombone, whatever you kind of feel like.
You need the vibrato in it.
Right.
Well, the iPhone turned 15 today. 15 years ago today, June 29th, 2007, the iPhone went on sale. It began that pandemonium of people waiting outside, camping outside the Apple Store to buy the very first LCD touchscreen device. 15. My son, Miles, is 15.
Wow. I remember I was in college when that happened, and I just remember this like frenzy buzz, right? Because we had all had Facebook, and so there was this, we all kind of knew Facebook early in my college years. And so there was already this intentionality around new tech. You know, the Web 2 was starting to kind of flow into the college ecosystem. And then this was coming along, and everybody, it was like, save your summer money, stand outside on the line, all that type of stuff. So 15 years later, for it to kind of be this like global phenomenon that has taken over the way that we approach daily life, literally.
Great quote. We linked up a Wall Street Journal article that actually has a little documentary. I think it's only like probably 10 minutes long, but it traces a family of a kid who's 15, and it kind of goes back to his iPhone usage throughout it's really cool. It's really cool. Wow. This quote's in the article, though. It says, truly, we just thought this was going to be a fun, easy-to-use thing when you want to do a few messages. Tony Fadell, a former senior Apple executive who worked on the original iPhone, he said, we didn't think it was going to become the center of your life. I have a question about his comments. I think that Steve Jobs knew.
He knew
it was going to become the center of
because I said this in all my training back when I was at the dealership. I said, one of the crazy things that Steve Jobs did, and the way that he cast vision for a product, was always in this way. He would say, I can't wait to share with you the next thing that we're doing. It's going to, and he used these words often, or some iteration of these words, change the way we blank, whatever blank was that device. So like his intention was that devices changed behavior.
Yeah. Right.
Or changed like attention. And
right,
so
because
I
they
think he
somehow
knew.
integrated. I think he knew too. I really think he did. So the original iPhone, this is funny. So at the time, the main competitor was the BlackBerry Curve. Did you have one of those?
I didn't have a BlackBerry.
I did. Well,
had
if you were in
I had
college,
flip
if you were in
phones and all
college,
that stuff.
that makes sense, right? Because it was kind of like a business tool, right?
Yes.
For
Yeah.
emails. And there was a great thing about it is that it did have the keyboard, so you could totally text without looking because your thumbs knew where the buttons were. It was
Yeah.
really easy. But the BlackBerry Curve, I
All
didn't
the
get
high
the
schoolers
iPhone.
back there were like, why do you need 2 thumbs on this thing? I got it in my pocket sending 18-word messages right on the Nokia
Right.
phone, triple tapping. So
Triple tap it. Exactly. But at the time I was in the middle of like some 2-year Verizon contract. And if you remember, iPhone didn't come out on Verizon until I think it was the 3 or the 4. So I
right.
didn't get one. But 6.1 million units sold. It was discontinued just a year later when they released the iPhone 2. 6.1 million units. You know how many were sold last year? 233 million units last year. The original model had, get this, 128 megabytes of memory. 128
Wow.
with a whopping 4 gigabytes of storage, juxtaposed to now where you get
I take single videos that are like 4 gigs.
oh yeah. Now, obviously we know 4 gigabytes of memory, a minimum of 128 gigabytes of storage. The original iPhone had a 2 megapixel rear camera and no front facing camera.
Not at all. Yeah. There was no need to do FaceTiming. That wasn't
selfies. The word selfie wasn't even in the vernacular. It didn't exist. How weird is that? Because I mean, to do a selfie, you'd have to turn the camera backwards, figure out how to trigger the camera, figure out if you were in the shot. I mean, look, people took selfies back in the day with like point and shoots. They weren't called selfies because there were a lot fewer of them. So, I mean, for real, man, you feeling a little bit old this morning? 15?
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that without a doubt.
I didn't realize. Well, now it'll be easy. My son Miles is 15, so now I'll always remember that's the.
Like,
the
I know when. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about. Go ahead.
You know what? This is what's interesting to me is like if I would have thought early on in business to utilize that device as a tool, right? I think that my trajectory as a salesperson, as a manager, as all that type of stuff, like it wasn't thought of as a tool early on in its use. And if I would have thought, let's use that as a tool for business efficiency or any level of thing, like just the ahead of the curve. And so I think, the takeaway for me is what today are some people going, oh, it's just kind of a nice hobby that you could slide into utilizing as a tool and be so far ahead of the curve,
right? Not just not an entertainment device, right?
Exactly.
But a tool. Interesting. Well, JD Power. Moving on. JD Power released their annual initial quality report, and it didn't look too good.
It was dicey.
It was dicey.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, I saw this yesterday, and it's interesting because all of the kind of things that happened through the pandemic that have accelerated retail, inflation and purchasing and consumer behavior have put a real damper on the ability to produce a high quality product. I mean, even early on, if you think about just something as simple as not having heated seats in a luxury vehicle, that's a reality. And so what's the trickle down effect of that customer facing thing as far as a quality perspective all the way down the line, right? Hiring more new employees, trying to find a workforce that's willing to work, all of that type of stuff throughout the pandemic, I think definitely leaned into this lack of quality over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and just to be clear, initial quality doesn't mean like things in the car are breaking a lot.
Right.
It means that there are some problems that consumers perceive with the vehicle when they get it. The initial quality perception of the consumer basically is what this measured. How many problems are there? So this is the first year ever that the initial quality index has dropped, and it didn't just drop like a point or two, it dropped 11%. But ever since JD Power have been doing this report, the initial quality has been getting better and better and better. This year on average, there were 100, they measure quality by problems per 100 vehicles. So there were 180 problems on average per 100 vehicles. So that means consumers perceived almost 2 problems per new vehicle.
Wow.
The lowest surprised the heck out of me. Maybe not actually, but it did.
Wait a second.
It did
surprised
initially.
you?
What,
If you were in 1998, it would have surprised you.
What? That Buick had the initial lowest. I mean, they had the best quality score.
Wait, they had the lowest. Oh, okay.
Buick's, yeah. Buick
Okay,
had
yeah,
the
that is
least
surprising.
problems per vehicle at 139. So 139 problems per 100 vehicles. So 1.39 problems per vehicle, with Polestar at the top of the list at 328 problems per 100 vehicles. So
do you think that some of that is due to like being so ahead of the curve? Like if you're trying to be so ahead of the curve,
yes,
it's almost like there's this quote that sometimes early looks wrong, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes early could be wrong because people aren't ready for it, or it's not, or the technology isn't ready for people, or anything like that. So,
well, I don't have the list in front of me, but Tesla also had 228 problems per car. Some of the problems reported. So if you think of it this way, like you said, Kyle, a vehicle shows up and it doesn't have heated seats, and the consumer was expecting heated seats and they didn't really, they didn't realize it. So now that's a problem. One of the big, Jim Elliott says Buick's been going strong on years on this metric. Wow. I wonder if they've always been low on they've always been. So that's good to know. Thanks, Jim. You also think a lot of the problems were infotainment related. So people hooking up CarPlay or Android. So you think about like, okay, that could be a problem. And
integration and
when I hear that, my mind always goes to like, hey, this is actually something that dealers can control a lot more than you would think, right? Because you think initial quality from the manufacturer, well, that's a manufacturer issue. But this actually seems more like a communication and delivery issue to me, right?
Well,
if I knew
or at least you could
own
it like it's one. Or at least you could own it like it's
you have to own it like it's one. You have to. Right? What are you going to say? Well, the manufacturer designed the system this way. What are you going to do? There's really an opportunity to lean into the delivery process, or lean into, the communication about what the car is and isn't going to have, to make it super clear. Because if they didn't hear it, it doesn't matter if you said it or not. It just meant that they didn't hear it, right? The burden of communication is always on the communicator. So I think it's a good little takeaway to be aware of this. And to just make some adjustments, even like right now today. I love it because it's implementable information, right? You're going to deliver cars today.
The type of delivery, the type of even just like sales process, to make sure if it is like that, those things are being talked about throughout the sales process, throughout the delivery journey, all of that type of stuff, without a doubt. Alongside of that is, when you do have a vehicle that has more innovative pieces in it, or more technology, or anything like that, it's this thing. I tell this to dealerships all the time, is like, once you promise something, the minute you stop delivering on it at a very, very high level, like, you're actually held more accountable than someone that never promised that before.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, that's so true.
So for instance, in a dealership world, right? I use this all the time because everybody started like pickup and delivery in the pandemic. And if you have someone that started pickup and delivery and started communicating, or never started pickup and delivery and never started communicating it, if the person that started it now no longer can do that, can't do it as efficiently, or they stop adding value to that level of service, they actually are held more accountable in reviews and surveys and consumer, response or engagement to it, than the person that never announced it or never started it.
Absolutely.
So like, to whom much is communicated, much is required. And Polestar and other, like Tesla, they are communicating this extremely innovative approach. And so the requirement of communication or excellence is that much higher. And so if you do have those brands, or those types of vehicles in your, in your vehicle set, in your model set, the requirement for you and your staff outside of the OEM to over communicate the expectations is that much more than,
it's so universal,
and
that's such a universal, that is such a universal principle. Like even think about it. If you have like amazing branding and amazing marketing,
Yep.
And when people walk in, like you do all this great job telling about, the expectation is just higher, the higher
Yes.
quality of the marketing. Like when I walk in, you're going to get more people to walk in, but you also have to deliver now on everything you just said.
Without a doubt.
Or, I mean, it just, but hey, that's what excellence is about.
It
What
is.
excellence is about. Well, speaking of marketing,
Stop.
Hey.
Time.
Kyle, you looked at this article and you said we could spend an hour on this last topic.
Literally. I mean, a friend of mine and his name is Kevin, and Kevin always talks about how through the pandemic we have specifically seen millennials and Gen Z adults having the most anxious, most stressful response to the current environment, whether that be the social environment or the media environment or the way that they engage in everyday decisions. And like the rate of increase in psychotherapy has gone way up over the last couple of years. And so, the APA, the story is this, is that more people want more mind space and less noise. So they're recognizing that things are coming at them so fast, and with like so much information, so much news, so many stories, so many social media things, that it's becoming hard to focus or concentrate or make decisions because of the anxiety that it induces on a given day.
Yeah, the report from the APA shows that 48% of adults, or actually 32% of all adults, and this benchmarks differently across generations. So 48% of millennials, 37% Gen Z, 32% of Gen X, only 14% of boomers, and 3% of the older folks are so stressed that they're having a hard time making basic decisions like, what should I wear tomorrow? Because the mind space, like you said, Kyle, all these things have been piling up, and it's not stopping. And so basically that is happening.
I have the solution for what to wear tomorrow. Just wear black shirts. Real easy. No,
we were struggling with this. Kyle is a millennial, me as a Gen Xer. We were like, how can we solve this? We need more mind space.
Yes.
Black hat. I switched the game yesterday. I wore a gray sweater and no one recognized me. I walk in and someone said, "Sir, can I help you?" Not that didn't happen. But look, historically, to kind of twisting this a little bit, to put your marketing hat on for a second, brand marketing has always been about dominating headspace, right? It's the thing that's, maximizing the headspace that my brand occupies with you was always the goal. And this study is showing us like the mind space is full. Right. And if you're trying to cram more in, you can actually have the opposite effect for your brand. So we're seeing a lot of retail brands understand this and pivot, right? Like Nike has started highlighting the benefit and like kind of the coolness, right? Nike's a fashion brand, the fashionableness of mental health, and not just, physical accomplishment, leaving some space. One UK retailer called Selfridges, they actually have an hour of shopping every day at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11, where there's no music. They turn all the screens in the place off. And
that sounds like magic to me.
It's like quiet time. I'd probably fall asleep.
Yeah, you're like, let me curl up over here real quick.
Which think about that, because you go in and it's like, right? And you got the screens and everything's moving fast.
Yeah, you're doing this. I mean, I see my kids stressed out by that, right? Like we go into a restaurant and they can barely even focus on eating because there's a screen everywhere. Like, what have we done to ourselves?
Oh, I know it. So basically, a McKinsey study shows that in an 8-week period, check this out, people have adopted more technology throughout the pandemic. They'll take an 8-week period and say people have adopted more interaction with digital things than they would have in 7 years otherwise. We've talked about this phenomenon before, but the point is this is where it all comes together. So orienting your brand and your space and your dealership to think about, how can I give people more calm? How can I give them more space and less? Because you walk in a dealership, right? It's hustle, it's bustle, right? The person's already feeling stressed about it. And so some of the suggestions, they talk in this article that I saw in Fast Company, it's linked up in the show notes, that things like digital check into a hotel room, right? Automating as many things as possible, but then following up or inserting one human intentionality, like, I digitally checked in, but when I got in, I got a really pleasant phone call. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Just wanted to make sure, can I send anything up to your room? right? And they say because you still need the human interaction to make the good brand impression. So I think that again, just like the last story, like this is something you can start implementing on immediately,
literally today,
for $0.
How do you think about your showroom as reducing the stress to digital attention, right? How do you manage someone's attention? Even just recognizing the times that they go to their phone, right? And how do you maybe draw them back into attention, into the human experience instead of the digital experience, whether it be their device or the device that you're showing them or the 5 TVs that you place in the showroom? Is there a way to change that environment so people are more clear in their decision making? You might actually see a higher level of aptitude to say yes in the showroom. And this same thing happens on the website, right? All these things flying in, what do I do next, right? What we see is that the more simplistic.
Wait. You're saying that 23 calls to action stress people out?
Look, don't get me started. I said we could go for an hour on this, Paul.
No, man, there's some white space on the site. Another call to action. No,
another call to action.
I couldn't help myself,
right? Like, I was having this conversation with a dealer yesterday that was building in some new value propositions into the VDP. And it was just like, add this, push this, change that. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, I don't even like, how can I even approach the fact that there's a vehicle that I need to figure out if it fits my family? And you're just shouting all this stuff at me. So stop shouting.
Can you imagine if I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
can you imagine if one of a dealership's value proposition was peace? Right? Or space? What does that just do to you? Come in here and like, it reminds me of the Beaver Toyota. They have literally like Mindspace rooms, I'm going to call them. And you can go in these quiet rooms and they have music and aromatherapy and a massage chair. And you can just go like close the door and sit in there. Right? I think Patrick Abad is on to something there. But without a doubt, like this is countercultural to automotive, but it is not. It is very in the flow and in the river of culture everywhere else. And we're telling you about it here. So if this can help you think about your experience a little bit more like a hospitality or a spa, that's kind of like the far extreme, but how can you insert more peace and more space into the process of people in sales and surface? I think if you can do that, the data, McKinsey and the APA, they're telling you that it would be a really good idea.
Come on.
We're telling you that too. Thank you so much for spending a little time with us today. I know we were full throttle. We can't give you space on a podcast because no one listens to dead air, but we'll see you tomorrow. Lots of dead air. Unplug for a minute. Give yourself a little mind space. You deserve it. You deserve it.